What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch back here with another NFL rankings video. The 2020 NFL schedule has now arrived, so it's time for me to rank the very best Monday night football games from the worst to the best for the 2020 NFL schedule. The least anticipated to the most anticipated, most exciting primetime Monday night football matchups. Before I give you my thoughts and analysis on each matchup, make sure that you do spike the like button and subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more NFL videos and rankings just like this. Also, comment your opinion below. What's your favorite Monday Night Football matchup? And also let me know in the comments if you think your team will win their Monday Night Football matchup. The worst game of the Monday Night Football slate for 2020 is the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 15. Personally, I just don't think the Bengals are going to be relevant in Week 15. This will probably be a Steelers team chugging along, looking for that playoff spot, trying to pick up victories in December. And to me, I don't think the Bengals are going to be a very good team, good enough to be in the playoff conversation. This might be a blowout, so that's why it ranks last at number 17. At number 16 and second to last is the Chicago Bears traveling to the LA Rams in their new stadium. To me, this is a matchup that just a couple seasons ago was looked at as one of the best in the NFL. Like the amazing Rams offense taking on the amazing Bears defense, and the X's and O's matchup of Nagy and McVay and at that time, Wade Phillips. And there's no longer that kind of mystique behind it because neither of these teams are looked at the same way they were just a couple seasons ago when the Rams went to the Super Bowl and the Bears were one of the top teams in the NFC. Right now in 2020, both of these teams are trending in a similar direction, being mediocre to bad football teams, in my opinion. So that's why I have it here at number 16. Not to mention the quarterback play is not that great. At number 15, the New England Patriots travel to the New York Jets in week number 9. Now, I like this rivalry personally as a Patriots fan. My favorite rivalry within the AFC East has always been the Patriots and the Jets because the Jets have been the team that have most of the time been the best out of the other three teams in the division. And with Rex Ryan, it was very entertaining. But since Rex Ryan left, this team just hasn't been very relevant and very exciting and given the Patriots the same amount of fits. Not to mention, Tom Brady is gone. This is probably a very defensive game. Now, this could be Sam Darnold seeing Ghost Revenge game, maybe. I don't know. But it's in New York. It's not in New England, which I think actually takes the stock down for this matchup. And I just think this is going to be a low-scoring, punt the ball back and forth, maybe a turnover here and there. Unless there's a butt fumble, give me a butt fumble. This game probably won't be very exciting. I'm just being totally honest and truthful here as a Patriots fan. At number 14, week number 10, it is an NFC North rivalry, the Minnesota Vikings at the Chicago Bears. I already gave you my thoughts on the Bears. They're mediocre to a bad football team. They do have a very good defense, and the Vikings also have a very good defense, similarly to the Jets and the Patriots. Monday Night Football might be stocking up on defensive football games, and I like the odd defensive football game. I like the X's and O's and how every play matters, and I could see that in this game, but I just don't see that this will be super exciting because there's like not a lot of big time plays on either side. When you really look at the offenses, it's going to be run the football. It's going to be kind of boring. I think there's going to be maybe turnovers, possibly bad weather in Chicago in week 10. I don't know. It's probably kind of like a just get me through the fourth quarter kind of game. So that's why it's here at number 14. At number 13, it is the team that Tom Brady just beat in the Super Bowl. Has actually beaten the Super Bowl twice now. The LA Rams going to Tampa Bay, his new team, and playing them in week 11. I think the Bucs are going to be a really good team in the NFC, but I think that this matchup will actually be pretty intriguing because, of course, you have Jalen Ramsey versus Mike Evans. You have Aaron Donald potentially getting and trying to sack Tom Brady. And then on the flip side, you have like Shaq Barrett and Sue, his old team, trying to go versus the Rams and get after Jared Goff. And I want to see McVay and Bruce Arians, two of the most charismatic coaches in the league, on Monday night. I actually think I probably should have ranked this game higher, to be completely honest with you. But I think there's something about the Rams, as I've been saying in these rankings, where I don't find them super exciting this year. But I do think that this is a matchup that actually could make it a little exciting, because the Bucs are just super exciting this year. I don't think it matters who they play. They're just awesome. What do you know? Another Bucs game. The Bucs at the Giants, week number 8. That is number 12 for me. Personally, I put this over the Rams, although Tom Brady has played the Rams twice in the Super Bowl. He has beat them. He has lost to the Giants twice in the Super Bowl. And I know that Eli's no longer there, so it takes a little bit of that away. But still, I mean, it's the franchise he lost 2 Super Bowls to, 2 out of the 3 losses, right? And this is his new team. The Giants, I do think, unlike the Rams, although the Rams are more known for their offense, I do feel like the Giants, this game last year, if you went back and watched it, the Bucs and Giants was super exciting and crazy and wild. And I think it could be that again. Daniel Jones played amazing in that game. And now you add Tom Brady into it, and you add Gronk into it, and you add that excitement into it. And it's in kind of the week 8 where I'm just like super into the NFL season, and every game is amazing and like the peak of football at that time of the year. So I think this matchup has a little bit more intrigue than the previous one that I just brought up. Number 11, week number 4, Atlanta at Green Bay. There's a little bit of history between these two teams, as Atlanta fans will let you know they're pretty much Aaron Rodgers' kryptonite at this point, and I think Aaron Rodgers will have something to say about that in Lambeau Field. I'm excited for this game because it's at week 4 at a point where like you're starting to get to know both teams and you're starting to see what both teams possibly could be. And at the same time, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, not a bad matchup. You're looking at a Matt LaFleur offense versus a Dan Quinn defense. That's not too bad. You have guys like Dante Fowler versus David Bakhtiari. That will be an exciting matchup as well. And how will those corners in Atlanta try to cover Devontae Adams? Julio versus Alexander. That could be a premier matchup on the outside. So I think there's some X's and O's that are intriguing, as well as the fact of the history between these two teams in the playoffs somewhat. So I like this one. You have Rodgers, Ryan, number 11, week number 4. At number 10, the Chargers at the Saints. This is an exciting matchup because not only do you have Drew Brees versus his old team, no longer is Phillip Rivers there. They're actually on their next era of quarterback. They're on the Justin Herbert train, right? The Justin Herbert era. And you're talking about Drew Brees, who could still be there at this point, possibly even have a Super Bowl at this point for this franchise that doesn't have a Super Bowl. Kind of crazy, but also really fun for Monday Night Football purposes. Then you look at the Chargers defense and their corners versus Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders and the Sean Payton offense. That's just awesome in its own right. And yeah, I think the X's and O's are there. I think the storyline and the history is there. And I think you could have sort of like a Drew Brees tribute in the halftime show. At number 9, the Saints travel to the Raiders in week number 2. It's week number 2, so it's starting to get that NFL hype really ramped up. You have the Vegas Raiders for the first time, I believe, on primetime in Vegas. I believe, because it's week 2, Drew Brees in Vegas, Sean Payton, the high roller in Vegas. That's going to be fun. Maybe a surprise onside kick. Who knows? And then you have 2 offensive coaches. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game in Vegas. I think it could be a lot of fun, and 2 really great offensive lines that could dictate the pace for both teams. I think this is going to be a really underrated game in week 2. Week number 1 at number 8, it's the Tennessee Titans at the Denver Broncos. This game doesn't really on paper seem as exciting as the games I've already brought up, but what I'm intrigued about here is it's week 1. So what are these two teams going to look like? Because you're looking at a team in the Titans who went to the AFC Championship last year, so like there's a lot of like intrigue with and interest with how they'll be this year, if they're going to be that same team and going to be that elite in the AFC. And then you're looking at a team on the opposite side in the Broncos where it's going to be in Denver at Mile High, which is always awesome on prime time, who's a team that a lot of people are saying this is the next team, right? This is the team that's going to be sort of like the Titans of last year, or the team that could take that next step to the playoffville. So you're talking about a team that people think may slide out of the playoffs versus a team that think might jump into the playoffs in week 1, where we don't know what these teams are going to be, and we probably won't know for the next few weeks, but it's still an awesome matchup in week 1, especially a power run game of Derrick Henry versus that front seven of Vic Fangio. Sign me up. At number 7, the Pittsburgh Steelers at the New York Giants in week number 1. I think I ranked this high because, again, it's week number 1 and there's intrigue in that alone. But then also you have Ben Roethlisberger's return. I think that in itself sells a ticket to me because I want to see Ben Roethlisberger come back, being that he's a quarterback from my era of growing up with the NFL. I want to see him come back and sling it and have some fun. And I think the Giants are the perfect team to do that because they don't have really a great defense. And they also have a pretty exciting offense. Saquon versus that defense will be fun on the opposite side. So sign me up for Ben's return in New York versus the Giants. At number 6, I have week 13, the Buffalo Bills at the San Francisco 49ers. Not a lot of intrigue here. It's a AFC versus NFC team. 2 teams that I think will make the playoffs. 2 teams that I think will win their division. It's a great defense versus a great offense. And it's a great defense versus a great defense. And an up-and-coming offense in the Bills versus one of the top-tier defenses, right? So you have McDermott versus Shanahan in the 2 of the best coaches on their side of the ball. I think that's what really stands out to me. This game, it doesn't have storylines. It's just X's and O's nerdy football. And in week 13, this game will probably matter in the win column to both teams when looking at the playoff seedings and what they'll potentially be in January. At number 5, I have the Arizona Cardinals traveling to the Dallas Cowboys in week 6. I just want to see Kyler Murray in Texas versus the Cowboys. Like, straight up. Cliff Kingsbury in Texas versus the Cowboys. There's some history there, right? And I think this could just be a fireworks show. I think this could be like 38-35, 34-31. I think this could just be a super exciting offensive showdown between 2 teams. And it's at that point, again, week 6. I love this prime point of the schedule where both teams are starting to really get a sense of their identity and we're starting to understand both teams. So that's what I like about this matchup. Kyler versus the Cowboys. At number 4, the Buffalo Bills travel to New England in week 16. I think this is a great game for Monday Night Football because this could, I think, will be the 2 top teams in the AFC East once again, but it might be flipped. It might be the Bills trying to finally prove that they can beat New England in New England. Last year, we had a great game at the end of the season in prime time. I think it was Saturday night, and the Bills just lost that game. The Patriots were able to pull it out with a good performance. Can the Patriots do it again? Will they be fighting for a playoff spot? They could potentially really need this game to get into the playoffs. Or will they just be looking to play spoiler for the Bills at this point in the schedule? So I think this is just a really good AFC East matchup between 2 really good defensive football teams, Belichick and McDermott, week 16, number 4. At number 3, the Baltimore Ravens at the Cleveland Browns. This is week 14. I think the Browns could very well beat the Ravens at home this year. This is week 14. This is one of the games that I would circle for Ravens fans as a potential loss. That's what makes it very exciting. I think the fact that the Browns have such an overpowering run game to go versus the Ravens is going to be very fascinating to see how they can match up versus each other. Of course, you have Marlon Humphrey versus Odell, which is a great matchup. You also have Lamar versus Myles Garrett. Hopefully, Myles Garrett won't take his helmet off and smash it versus Lamar Jackson's head. Either way, though, I think the Browns are going to be a team that's pretty good this year, fighting for a playoff spot, and week 14 will really matter to them. At home, Browns fans will be losing their absolute minds at this point in the season because they might actually have a chance for a playoff spot. At number 2, the Seattle Seahawks at the Philadelphia Eagles. Week 12. This was a playoff game last year. Carson Wentz went down, and it basically lost their chance of winning this game. They also played during the regular season last year, which was an interesting game in itself, where the Seahawks ended up going to Philadelphia and winning. Can the Eagles get their revenge at home? We'll have to see. Week 12. Both teams will be good this year. Both quarterbacks are awesome. Both defenses, I think, are improved, so I'm excited for this matchup. And at number 1, I think half of you came here just to see that this was number 1. It's week number 3. It is Patrick Mahomes taking on Lamar Jackson. It is MVP versus MVP. It is the top 2 teams that a lot of people have at the top of their power rankings for the top 2 contenders for the Super Bowl. And I think they're right. I mean, this game's going to be super fun. You look at the nerdy perspective of the secondary of the Ravens versus the receivers of the Chiefs. You look at Mahomes versus that secondary, and then you flip it and you look at Tyrann Mathieu spying Lamar Jackson in the open field, and you look at Andy Reid versus Harbaugh. There's a lot of fun here, and there's 2 amazing future of the league type, face of the league type quarterbacks in Lamar and Mahomes. So yeah, I think this is definitely the best game on prime time, probably all season, including Sunday and Thursday Night Football. It's number 1 for sure for Monday Night Football, and a huge snag for them to get this on ESPN. Those are my rankings for Monday Night Football for the 2020 NFL schedule. If you enjoyed, Gronk spike the like button and subscribe for more NFL videos and rankings just like this. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching. Peace.